Well, good evening and welcome to the Carolyn Holt Show. I am so excited about the fact that you have joined me tonight. I hope that the information that I'm going to share with you tonight will benefit you in a lot of ways, because there are a lot of things that I want to talk about. Normally I just do one topic, but tonight so many things caught my eye that has been in the news lately, and there are just some things about those stories that I want to share and inform you about, because a lot of the stories that I'll be sharing, they can benefit you financially, they can benefit you personally, they can benefit you on your job with your children, so it doesn't get any better than that. So all of the news that I'm sharing tonight is beneficial, okay? Well, the first story I want to talk about, well, before I get into the story, let me give the numbers. The phone number to call the show tonight is area code 323-293-3375. Again, that's area code 323-293-3375. The first story that I want to talk about, I think most people in America, they know this story, and it's about the NBA draft and the number 2 pick of the Los Angeles Lakers. The Los Angeles Lakers had the number 2 pick. His name is Lonzo Ball. And what caught my eye about the situation with Lonzo Ball is the Los Angeles Times. The sports writer for the Los Angeles Times, his name is Bill Platsky. And I think Bill has been around a long time. And so I'm going to give him some credit here, because he has been around a long time and he knows the sports world, I would say, in and out. But the headline that he gave regarding Lonzo Ball, I thought was very interesting. His question was if Lonzo Ball can become a leader right away for the Lakers. And when I saw that, I didn't know what to make of it. And the reason I didn't know what to make of it is because Lonzo Ball is 19 years old, and he has never played professional basketball. Let me make sure I get the ball straight here. He has never played professional basketball, but he has been a standout high school basketball player and a standout in college. And so he does come with great potential. And so when I looked at that, the word leader is what stood out for me, because I just think that that's a big thing to put on young Mr. Ball's shoulders. And he hasn't even started playing for the Lakers yet. I'm not saying that he is not talented. I am not saying that he is not a star. I'm not taking anything away from him. But to be a leader, you generally have to have been put in the position. And it's my understanding from all who play professional sports that being a professional basketball player is different from being a standout collegiate star or high school star. But that's how you get noticed. But that does not mean that you're going to have longevity in the league just because of that. But according to Bill Platsky, there's a great possibility that Lonzo Ball is the real deal. And I think that's good. I think that the Lakers need a spark and some energy. I'm not sure why they made the decision so soon, but I guess it's something that they had to do. I thought that they felt the same way about D'Angelo Russell. in terms of being a great point guard. And so apparently what Mr. Plasky meant when he was talking about a leader is his skill level, not his qualities in terms of getting others to follow him at this point. And in terms of his skill level, the comment that was made by Mr. Plasky is that his strengths are in his ability to pass the ball. And I guess that is the important strength to have as a point guard, and his willingness to make his teammates better. Now, if you've ever done anything regarding a team, you know that it's always good to have people on your team that's willing to not just make it about me first. So apparently he has that in his repertoire as a young man, and so that's a good thing. It says, so the question presented to Ball was that how could he help change the culture? This was before he was drafted. How could he change the culture if he were to be drafted? And his comment was that everything you do, you have to do for the team, he said. Bring a winning atmosphere in here, and I feel like I can do that. Well, that's an excellent start, because you do want to be confident that your talents, your knowledge, and your skills and your abilities will not only benefit the team, but it will create an atmosphere of winning. And perhaps that's not the atmosphere that the team in and of itself is used to, because I guess many of the players from the previous season will be returning, and they are all young guys as well, but they have about 2 years of experience under their belt, so they're expected to really do a lot better. But I just think it's a lot of pressure to put on such a young man when there are teams who have stars that have been in the league for years, and they are not leaders yet. So I think that the Lakers just should be happy that Mr. Ball is a person with a bright future. And if he turns out to be an excellent leader, that's great. But if he doesn't, I think that he should be given some time to develop, like most great young players. Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan, they were not standouts their very first year in the league. So while I think that Mr. Ball is talented, I also think that he should be given time to develop and not be pressured into being a leader. It says that there's also the concern about his outspoken dad. Well, for that, I agree with Mr. Platsky that eventually he will speak on his own behalf. And if dad needs to have less of a voice in his life, I'm sure he'll have a talk with him. His father, LeVar, probably is more well known in terms of name recognition than perhaps Lonzo is. But to LeVar's credit, he's his own spokesperson, and he's willing to let the chips fall where they may, based on what he says and what he does, and he'll have to live with either making good decisions or not so good. So we'll see what happens with young Alonzo. But Alonzo did make a statement on his own behalf. He says, I know who I am. Now, that's very important, especially coming from a young man. He says, I know who I am. People who know me know who I am, and that's all that matters. And when you think about it, at the end of the day, that's true. That's all that matters, to know thyself. And it appears that he does, and I'm wishing him great success in the league, barring any major injuries or any of the things that can prohibit a successful season. I'm wishing young Mr. Ball great success. And so we'll all have to just wait and see how things turn out. But I believe that he's going to do well. But I do think that anointing him a leader at this point, without him having played, is a bit soon. That's all. Now, the next thing that caught my eye that I think is very useful and beneficial to anyone listening, and especially if you suffer from neck and back problems. And apparently a lot of people do. It's a major issue in terms of health and well-being. But this is very interesting. It says this is by Panasonic, and it's a massage chair. It says neck and back relief approved by the most discerning experts. Now, I'm going to assume that the discerning experts would be the people who suffer from neck and back issues. But when I saw this, the amount for the chair is $2,499, so essentially $2,500. But they say that this particular chair, it's compact but powerful. It says the Panasonic MA10 massage chair provides neck and back relief that is soothing and reinvigorating. Find relaxation and transport your body and mind into a place of comfort and happiness. And they say that it is sensibly priced at $2,499. But I say this, there is no price that you won't pay for good health. So if you are interested in taking up Panasonic on their offer, you can call them at 888-717-9193. That's 888-717-9193, and order yourself a chair. And if you do, for paying $2,499, you get free shipping. So you don't have to worry about how you're going to get your chair home. So if you only have the $2,499, they're going to ship it to you for free. So they're going to make sure that you get it. But I say it's something to consider. If you have neck and back problems, and I know that people who suffer from back problems, they really do have a challenge in finding remedies that support their back and reduce their pain at the same time. So I'm thinking that this is something to certainly give some thought to if you find that you have a need for this chair. Now, in the picture, they have two giraffes. It appears that the giraffes are sitting in the chair. I'm not sure why that is, but I guess that means something. So give it a try. And if you order this chair and it works, please call me, because I'd love to know if it's as wonderful as it says that it is. So there you have it. Some relief for your neck and your back. Now, the next story that caught my eye, this is also in the Los Angeles Times. This is for our veterans. And the veterans, I think they have always deserved a lot of praise from America for keeping us safe. But it was not until the Obama administration that they were highlighted and given the spotlight for what they do for this country. And even when there's a lot of disagreement about whether they should be serving in the capacity that they're serving in. They still go out and do their job. But there's a great program that they have basically put together on their own. And I want to share some information about it, but I'm going to go to break. And when I come back, I'll tell you more about what the veterans are doing on their own behalf. Stay with me.
Mastering math can be big fun. Fun for you and everyone. Play it each and every day. Master math the easy way. Sing it, play it, Math Maze.
Why not turn math time into fun time with Math Maze, the new game craze? Get yours today at mathmaze.us.
Mom, now you can help your son master math and have big fun. Play it each and every day. Master math the easy way. Sing it, play it. Math Maze.
Make sure your child owns the skills necessary for success in high school algebra. Get it now. Mathmaze.us. Mathmaze.us.
Dad, now you can help your daughter play it like you know you oughta. Play it each and every day. Master math the easy way. Say it, play it. Math Maze.
Math Maze cards contain both Spanish and English. Get yours today at mathmaze.us. That's mathmaze.us.
Thank you and welcome back to the Carolyn Holt Show. I'm pleased and very thankful that you're joining me tonight. If you'd like to call the show, the phone number is area code 323-293-3375. Again, that's area code 323-293-3375. Before we went to break, I was talking about the veterans and the way that the country has come together under the Obama administration and really started to recognize the benefits that the veterans bring. And I wanted to share this story because I just thought it was something wonderful that the veterans are doing for themselves. And often when things need to be supported and they need to do a certain thing, it is the people that are affected by whatever the thing is that makes the biggest difference. And it says that 7 Southern California military veterans came together last week to share their memories and experiences in front of an audience of about 150 people during the Voices, the Veterans Storytelling Project. And this was held in Costa Mesa, California. And it says that the project was meant to give veterans a creative outlet to talk about their service and how their experiences have shaped them. Over 6 weeks, the participants met to learn more about one another. And in many cases, they said those gatherings were the first time they felt comfortable sharing some of their experiences. They said it's liberating and absolutely essential for all of us to tell our own stories, said Army veteran Bruce Ole Solheim. America does not go to war. Individual Americans go to war, he said. Our veteran voices need to be heard. Navy veteran Donald Pagler was aboard the U.S. spy ship Liberty when it was mistakenly attacked by the Israeli military in 1967. For years, he said, he was sworn to secrecy about the experience. He has struggled with post-traumatic stress disorder and dangerously high blood pressure. The latter, he said, was generally and greatly relieved when he was finally able to summon the strength to talk about the ordeal. Recovery is a process, not an event, and that process can't take place if your experiences are hidden. When I denied my life experiences, I had no identity. You don't get over your military experience, but you can learn to live with it. And he says that war isn't just devastation on the front lines, it destroys us at home too. Like a virus creeping in our bodies unannounced, it dismantles families, extinguishes hope, and handicaps dreams. It's far worse to see children afflicted with maladies we suspect come from our exposure. To think that we are the cause of their hurt and pain, he said, those invisible wounds of war are now visible. My soul carries so many memories of those months, and not one day goes by without thinking about the insanity and the misery that war caused, he said. I was particularly enchanted by the inflections and the passions that surfaced as the weeks went by. Because of the continuous struggle, dealing with the horrors of war, and the challenges of adapting to civilian life, it's vital for people to continue supporting veterans after their service has ended, said Eric Cooper of Costa Mesa. Now, the mission of the people of the United States is to help the veterans in whatever individual way each one needs, he said. For some, it's as simple as a cup of coffee or a pat on the back. But whatever a veteran needs, find the problem and fix it. Now, it's not often that you hear about veterans speaking out on their own behalf, but I thought that this was really great because they find camaraderie in talking to somebody who understands where they have been. And like the story said about the one veteran that was sworn to secrecy, can you imagine having to keep a secret 30, 40, and 50 years? No wonder he had high blood pressure. Because that's just not natural. Now, I do know that there are many people that say that they go to their grave with secrets, and that's fine. But I just can't imagine, in terms of the things that veterans experience in war, I can't imagine keeping things a secret. And the reason I say that is because I have a brother who served 2 tours of duty in the Vietnam War. And he would often share some of the things that he saw firsthand, and it was not pretty. And I applaud him. When he ended his tour in the service, he had some challenges, one of them having been alcoholism. But by the grace of God and by him seeking out the right help, he's been able to get that under control. And I applaud him because it's not easy for these guys to come home and admit that there are things that happen that they just have to keep to themselves. So I applaud this storytelling project that gives veterans a voice to share their thoughts and their feelings and their concerns one to the other, to someone that they feel cares and to someone that they feel understands. So I applaud the Storytelling Veterans Project in Costa Mesa, California. Now, the next story that I want to share with you is about generosity. And when you hear the word generosity, at least for me, it brings a smile to my face because I believe that there are a lot of generous people out there, but they don't get any notoriety, so we never know that they exist. We always think, the worst about people, but there are a lot of generous people, and tonight we're going to talk about one of them. I don't know this person personally, but I wish I did because this story, I think, is wonderful. It says, this is by Liz Weston, and I guess she's a certified financial planner, and she does she does a column for Nerd Wallet. So she's here on the West Coast. So I guess if you go to asklizweston.com, then you can find out more about who she is and what she does. But the generous person says, I recently came into some money and I would like to share it with my family. I understand that there are annual tax caps on how much you can give to someone, $14,000 per person per year. However, does this limit apply only to cash and cash equivalents or also to any other gifts? For instance, can I pay off a sibling's student loans for more than $14,000 without running afoul on the limits? Well, I like this person already because they're not only generous, but they're smart because they recognize that just giving money away seems like the admirable thing to do, but they know that it can create some problems in terms of taxes, so they're doing their due diligence and getting the facts before they start to act. And a lot of us need to adopt this behavior. Just because you can, don't do things because even though you can do very well-meaning things, they can sometimes backfire on you. So the answer says that there's no cap on how much money you can give to another person. But if you give more than $14,000 to any one person, you have to file a gift tax return. It's IRS Form 709. You won't actually owe gift taxes until the amount you give in excess of that limit totals more than $5 million. And when I heard that, I'm going, oh my God, I want as many people as so desire to give to me, especially if you can give up to $5 million. I accept all gifts. I'm letting you know that right now. It says the precise limit this year is $5.49 million, and it's scheduled to rise by the rate of inflation in coming years. Paying most bills, including student loans, on behalf of another person counts as part of that $14,000 limit. The only exceptions are if you pay someone's tuition, medical expenses, and health insurance. To avoid the limit, you would have to pay the bills directly to the provider, such as the school, the doctor, the hospital, or the insurance company, and so on. If you give the money to the person to pay these expenses, it counts as part of the $14,000 exemption. Some people keep rigidly to the $14,000 limit to avoid having the excess gifts reduce their estate tax exemption. Gifts over the $14,000 limit are added back into a person's estate at death. And the prevailing estate tax exemption, which is also currently $5.49 million, is deducted from that enhanced total. If you're a multimillionaire, though, this problem probably isn't something you need to worry about. If you go over the $14,000 per person limit, you just have to deal with a little paperwork. So all you millionaires out there, you no longer have to keep it a big secret. You can let the cat out of the bag that you have lots of money, and it's okay to share with wonderful people like me and whomever else it is that you so desire to help. So just keep that in mind. Generosity is a wonderful thing, and the IRS has the proper forms to help you be generous, but it's not always like you hear people say, oh, I can't give because it's going to create a tax problem for me, and I'd love to help you, and blah, blah, blah. Well, we now know that you can give up to $5 million. And so all I can say is start giving. All right? The next story that caught my eye, I found this very interesting. It's regarding advertising a bong for sale on a bulletin board. And this person wanted to know if they put it on a bulletin board, they wanted to know if it's legal to do so. And it says, our homeowner association's official bulletin board is located by the mailboxes where residents have easy access to it. And normally it's used for typical resident announcements such as personal items and cars for sale or owners looking for a babysitter. Immediately after the November election, when California voters passed the marijuana legalization law, I went to get my mail and noticed a flyer with a large picture of a bong used for smoking marijuana. Under the picture it said, "For sale, $20, our best offer, good condition and clean." Well, I guess that's important if you're going to sell a bong. It needs to be clean. I wouldn't know. It says, I was shocked to notice that the advertiser's phone number belongs to the association president. And yesterday, on the same bulletin board, there was an advertisement by a company selling marijuana by mail order, pickup or delivery. Is any of this legal? And so the answer says that Proposition 64, or the Adult Use of Marijuana Act, makes it legal for adults to smoke marijuana lawfully, but the sale of recreational marijuana is not legal until the state rolls out a licensing scheme for suppliers. The sale of medical marijuana has been legal in California for a number of years, but is restricted to certain cities and counties and requires compliance with the Compassionate Use Act, which does not permit general advertisements on association bulletin boards. The sale of marijuana-related paraphernalia is not prohibited. It is also arguable whether your president's advertisement is for a bong intended for use with marijuana, as bongs, though commonly associated with pot, can be used with tobacco products as well. However, having a large picture of the bong and perhaps pictures of marijuana plants will mean the intent for marijuana use is clear. Regardless of the laws pertaining to the sale and the use of marijuana in California, an association bulletin board may not be the most appropriate place for these types of advertisements, especially if the bulletin board is in an area where children in the complex may have access to it. That being said, if the board has not already implemented rules for posting advertisements on the association's bulletin board, then there's probably nothing that the association or its members can do to prevent this type of solicitation. If the bulletin board is available for personal use, then the board president is able to participate. A reasonable restriction that you or other members may propose to the board is to limit postings to items and services that are available to readers of all ages. Even if a bong is advertised for tobacco use, it may only be used by someone over the age of 18. And in addition, if the company advertising the sale of marijuana is not being run by a member of the community, then even without rules, it can be removed. If there are issues with members adhering to postings, rules, or the third party making use of the board for commercial purposes, then the board should also consider an enclosed bulletin board with a locking glass frame, Restricting access without permission from the board is permissible so long as the board has clear guidelines for use and a process for reviewing and approving submissions. So there you have it. It's up to you and your associations what you can advertise. And that makes sense because these people can't legislate what happens in other complexes. So this is kind of a no-brainer, but I found it interesting anyway. So if you live in a complex of any kind, make sure you know what the rules are before you start posting whatever it is that you're using, marijuana or not. Okay? So keep that in mind. Well, the next big thing that I noticed was that this use of cell phones at the movie theater. And what caught my eye about this is that I went to see the movie, the Tupac movie. What is it, All Eyes on Me? And there was a young man, a very young man that sat next to me. And every 5 minutes, he was on his phone, checking his Facebook I didn't say anything to him because I'm afraid to talk to people at the movie theater because, first of all, I don't want to be shushed. And secondly, I don't want people to get mad with me because there have been some major squabbles at movie theaters. But I do think that people don't give enough thought to the fact that cell phones at the theater are annoying. And I know that, if you're a person with children and you're checking your phone just to see how the family's doing while you're at the movie, I get all of that. But having a cell phone at the movie is annoying, not only to me, but to this person, Justin Chang. He thinks the same thing, and I guess he is a film critic. It says, according to Justin, it said, being on your phone is a different kind of insult. And that's because, unlike other offenses, and I would argue that talking back at the screen is vastly preferable insofar as it requires a level of engagement with it. It's the only one that signals a complete disconnect from the reason we're there in the first place. It's not just the inconsiderateness, which I've never heard of. I didn't know that that was such a word, but the indifference that rankles because it flies in the face of what we film critics often wax poetic about, a touch too earnestly, perhaps, but with complete sincerity. The communal power of the movies, and intentionally or not using your touchscreen device during a movie is a rejection of that power. It's a gesture that says, this experience doesn't matter. My presence here doesn't matter, and your presence here doesn't matter either. The reality, of course, is that all of it matters. At a time when we are forever consumed by our personal technology, the theater can and should be our last public refuge, where we are enthralled to the movies and the movies alone. And if that vision comes from a place of nostalgia or naivete, then it's a place where there's still room for all of us, proudly and defiantly, in the dark. And I think the big complaint is that if the room is dark and suddenly the screen lights up, it takes one's mind off of the movie. And so the idea is to put your cell phone away, and however long it takes to sit through the movie, do that, and then check your cell phone afterwards, because it is annoying to try to watch a movie and every 5 minutes the person next to you is checking their Facebook page or messages or whatever. So I agree that it's the one place I just don't think that you should take your cell phone to. Now, I know people take their cell phones a lot of places, and that's fine. But taking them to the movie theater is a bit much, because people are there to enjoy the movie, not to participate in you checking your cell phone every 5 minutes or 10 minutes or however often it is. Okay? Well, the next story that caught my eye is about the workforce. And this is about women, and particularly women who are over 50, and some of the things that happen to them as to why they no longer are working. And one person in this story is not over 50, she's 31 years old. But some of the things that happen to them, I found it interesting to share, because I think that there are a lot of women out there that find themselves in this particular situation. And I just want you to know that you're not alone, that there are a lot of people out there that's struggling and have some issues when it comes to why they made the decision to just go ahead and leave the workforce because of what happened to them. It says that everyone's work life has its own story, as does every decision to stop working. The Times recently examined the startling reversal of women pouring into the workplace. The share of prime-age women working or looking for work rose from 35% just after World War II to 76.8% in 1999, and then it began dropping to 74.3% last year. The story elicited a flood of responses from readers with their own reasons for dropping out. Many cited the difficulty of caring for children while working 9 to 5. Some were knocked out of careers by the Great Recession and never recovered, and others were simply worn down by years of perceived slights. The First Lady, she's 58, she said, during the years of slow recovery, I got older and it got even tougher to find work. None of my college-educated girlfriends were making what they did pre-recession, even if they found work. And so when she's talking about the recession, she's talking about in like 2008, 2009, when the job market was really difficult. Apparently, she had worked on her job for 12 years, and she had a salary of about $62,500 when she left. She had a great benefits package, but when a new chief executive officer came on board, he used the recession as an excuse to lay this lady off. And she said that this happened to a lot of people, and she believes that they used the Great Recession as a way to stop hiring 50-plus-year-olds, because she found that she was about 58 at the time that this happened. And so that may very well be true, because I tell you, once you get past 50 years old, it's not an easy way to, there's no easy way to find work. And also, even sometimes when you're in your 40s, it can be difficult. The next lady, she had a little different story. She said that she quit her job because she was working as a studio manager in the fashion commercial photography world, and eventually started hating herself for partaking in a form of media that represents women in such an unrealistic and damaging light. She said she made $50,000 a year without benefits. She never got a promotion, even though her job description and duties changed throughout her time there. One main part of her job was overseeing the retouching process after every photo shoot. She said, I was already aware that all images we see on both men and women in magazines and billboards undergo a certain amount of cleaning up. But I didn't really understand to what degree. The manipulations I witnessed through the art of Photoshop, specifically of women, were utterly disturbing and downright dishonest. Faces contorted, limbs severed, removed and replaced, skin lightened, thighs shrunken, eyeballs enlarged, and the final product was a picture of this perfect being that looked so effortlessly in her beauty. I was reminded of myself as a teenage girl, studying every model and actress in beauty magazines and feeling so inferior and depressed because I knew I could never look that good. And what made this even more upsetting was that whenever the photographer did a shoot with a celebrity male or female model, the retouching was so subtle and minor that it was almost a breeze. They allowed most men to keep their wrinkles and the dark circles under their eyes. However, they never kept their pot bellies. So she left her job because she just couldn't deal with the issue that women had to undergo such severe photoshopping in order to look good in the magazine. And none of this occurred for the male celebrities. They only did minor things to retouch the photo, and they always made sure, though, that the men had flat stomachs, and that just rubbed her the wrong way. And so she just felt that she had more integrity than what her job had her doing, and she just decided that she was not going to go back. And she said that she is looking for work, but she doesn't want that kind of work anymore, and she's decided that she's going to write a memoir to talk about her work experience in the hopes that it'll help someone else. The next lady, she was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, and she worked as a teacher at a private college in New York, but because of her MS, she had to cancel one teaching job and was never contacted again. And when this happened, she had been on her job for at least 5 years. And she said, I lost my job because as contingent faculty, the places I worked never made a commitment to me, never evaluated my competency or skills. And during the 10 years I taught higher ed, I was assigned a new class every semester, often in a subject area where I had no real qualifications or expertise. I always did everything I could to teach myself what I needed. I worked very hard. I worked nonstop. I made $50,000, always working numerous jobs simultaneously to cobble together full-time work. So when you hear these stories, you can understand why you just get fed up at some point, and that's why a lot of women have taken the leap and the jump and started their own businesses, because while that is a challenge, it's one that they feel that they have a much more control over, and they are not at the mercy or the whim of a boss who perhaps does not care about what's really happening in their personal life. The last lady, she went on maternity leave after the birth of her first child, and 3 days after she returned from maternity leave, she was fired. And she said that, it was very tough because she had a husband and she had children, but she made the decision to work with her husband so that he could do more to help the family, and he actually got work that supported them. But she was just surprised and even shocked that she was let go after returning from maternity leave. And when I read this, I thought to myself, I guess the world still hasn't figured out that women are still the only way to have children on a consistent basis. I know that there was a man who supposedly had a baby, I guess about 10 years ago. But as far as I know, consistently, women are the ones giving birth. So, you know, what are you to do? And I know that many times that is a challenge for men because they say, well, we don't want to hire young women because we know that they do desire to get married and have a family. And we don't want to have to train people when they're off on maternity leave. And, you know, the excuses in terms of not hiring you just go on and on and on. So, but I applaud these women for just saying, you know, enough is enough is enough. And I'm just going to take the leap and see where it all ends. So I have a few more stories to share with you. I'm going to take a break, and when I come back, I'm going to wrap up my news that you can use. Stay with me.
Mastering math can be big fun. Fun for you and everyone. Play it each and every day. Master math the easy way. Sing, play it. Math Maze.
Why not turn math time into fun time with Math Maze, the new game craze? Get yours today at mathmaze.us.
Mom, now you can help your son master math and have big fun. Play it each and every day. Master math the easy way. Sing, play it. Math Maze.
Make sure your child owns the skills necessary for success in high school algebra. Get it now. Mathmaze.us. Mathmaze.us.
And now you can help your daughter play it like you know you oughta. Play it each and every day. Master math the easy way. Say it, play it. Math Maze.
Math Maze cards contain both Spanish and English. Get yours today at mathmaze.us. That's mathmaze.us.
Okay, we're back. Well, it caught me off guard. I was daydreaming, I guess. When I went to break, I was sharing with you some news that I think that you can use and that you might find interesting. Now, this next story is from the advice column. I always enjoy reading her column because it's just amazing the things that people are willing to ask. But this, I think, is a universal problem. And so I think this will help a lot of people. It says, Dear Amy, earlier this year, I posted some comments on Facebook regarding our political leadership that were rather pointed and insinuatory. I recently learned that some good friends of my wife and me, who we know to hold different political views, took deep offense to my comments and have been avoiding contact with us since. I am saddened by this as I value this long-term friendship, but on the other hand, I am struggling with how to proceed as my comments were not made hastily and continue to reflect my feelings on the matter. Is there a way to salvage this friendship? And it's signed Torn. And so Amy says, you characterize your comments as insinuatory. If there is something about the way you express your views that you regret, then you should express your regret to these friends and apologize. You might say, I understand that comments I made earlier this year offended you. I'm very sorry about that, and I wish I had chosen a different way to express my opinion. You obviously feel that your basic opinion is unchanged and nothing for which you need to apologize. If you don't intend to apologize for offending these friends, you might be able to salvage this relationship by stating that you miss being in touch with them, along with the hope that you can resume your friendship and simply agree to disagree. Your friends might well believe in every person's intrinsic right to their own political opinions, but might not want to maintain a friendship with someone who is boorish or deliberately incendiary in a public forum. If this describes you, then they are exercising their own judgment and their right to keep their distance. Now, what caught my eye is that she's right. You know, many times we only think about what we want from the relationship, and we don't consider the effect that our actions might have on the people that we have offended. So just because we want to make nice and make it all go away so that we can resume a friendship does not mean that the other people feel that way, and they do have a right to make a decision about whether they want to continue a friendship or not. I know that I have a lot of friends, and especially male friends, and sometimes in talking to men, in expressing their opinions, they can get pretty loud and pretty definite in how they say things. And sometimes I've said to them, you know, I'm not deaf. I get you. You don't have to yell. You don't have to raise your voice. I get that. And I think that if I were a thin-skinned person, I may not even have some of these male friends. But I do know that in friendship, it can go both ways, that people have a right, you have a right to do whatever you want to do as a person, but just know that the person receiving the action has just as much right to make up their minds about you, and it does not have to be in the way that you so desire. So just keep that in mind, because sometimes the easier thing to do is think before you act, because once you've acted, there's no way to take things back. I thank you so much for joining me tonight. As always, the goal of the show is to move you from misery to magnificence and from subpar to spectacular. Thank you so much for joining me, and good night.
Mastering math can be big fun for you and everyone. Play it each and every day. Master math the easy way. Sing, play it, Math Maze.
Why not turn math time into fun time with Math Maze, the new game craze? Get yours today at mathmaze.us.
Mom, now you can help your son master math and have big fun. Play it each and every day. Master math the easy way. Sing, play it, Math Maze.
Make sure your child owns the skills necessary for success in high school algebra. Get it now. Mathmaze.us. Mathmaze.us.
And now you can help your daughter play it like you know you oughta. Play it each and every day. Master math the easy way. Say it, play it, Math Maze.
Math Maze cards contain both Spanish and English. Get yours today at mathmaze.us. That's mathmaze.us.
Keep your head up.